Class is dismissed, boys and girls.
You're in. Let's go!
Previously on the YTV Retrospective.
What month is Valentine's Day in? November.
3D animation has come quite a long way compared to its earlier years. But I bet you didn't know that Canada, and YTV specifically, had a big hand in bringing 3D animation over to its viewers. Sure, you had the Short Circuits and the Wild Wild Circus Company on Funpack, but it was the work of one studio that changed the way 3D animation was done on TV forever.
Check this out. Everybody. Check it out.
Today we are taking a look at all of the TV series that specifically aired on YTV and was done by one amazing company. That company was known as Mainframe Entertainment. Now, to get started on their history, we'll have to go all the way back to the 1980s. Mainframe Entertainment was started by British animators Gavin Blair, Ian Pearson, and Phil Mitchell. The trio were, among others, pioneers with the art of 3D animation in the 1980s, having used the technology to produce music videos like Dire Straits' Money for Nothing and Def Leppard's Let's Get Rocked. The Money for Nothing video was the first to have computer-animated human characters, and it definitely showed. Mainframe Entertainment was started in 1993 when they moved to a studio in Vancouver, British Columbia. Once they were all moved in, they began working on a series known as Reboots. Set in the digital world of Mainframe, I get it. The show follows the Guardian program Bob, as he defends the city with his friends Dot Matrix, her brother Enzo, and his junkyard dog Frisket against the evil viruses Megabyte and Hexadecimal. The viruses weren't the only villains in town. Occasionally, the heroes entered what is known as GameCubes. God, I wish. And must defeat the mysterious user in order to prevent system nullification. The first season had a couple of stumbles, particularly with its action, as it premiered in the US as part of the Saturday morning lineup for ABC, and had to follow their broadcast standard guidelines, which sort of became a running joke as the show went on and had fewer limitations.
'Cause we're living with BS&P. Yeah, we're living with BS&P.
The first season primarily focused on one-off episodes and had some pretty good pop culture parodies. One of these parodies was of the movie Mad Max, and the episode's director went on to do a certain film in a similar fashion to the episode. The movie it became was Mad Max Fury Road. The second season onwards was where it became more plot-heavy, and focused more on great character development, as its main character Bob is now lost in the internet, and it's up to young Enzo, now grown up and stuck in the internet, to find Bob and find a way home. The voice acting in this series was phenomenal, having the great talents of Gary Chalk, Ian James Cortlett, Scott McNeil, and the late great Tony Jay as Megabytes. Many of these voices may become very familiar down the road. We'll keep them at the back of our minds. YTV was the main home for Reboots, and the advertising for the series was rather strange. Rather than hype you up for a great adventure, they tried to basically scare the living daylights out of you, similar to how they did Are You Afraid of the Dark?
In this hand, I hold the fate of the entire mainframe.
It's going to crash!
Now, can you guess whose fate I hold in this hand?
The series was a hit, airing from 1994 to 2001, lasting 4 seasons and 48 episodes, and went on as a cult classic, gaining lots of merchandise, including action figures, a PlayStation game, and a 3D ride at select shopping malls, using a Canadian-made invention by the name of IMAX. There have been a few attempts to bring back the show, since the show ended on...
Prepare yourselves for the hunt.
a cliffhanger. There were a few comics both print and online, and another series on Netflix and YTV, which will not be brought up again! While this may not have been the first series to be done completely in CGI, that title goes to Insectors, which also aired on YTV, it was revolutionary as the first half-hour CG computer animated series to be made. In 1996, toy company Hasbro called Mainframe to create a series that would revitalize the Transformers brand, since Generation 2 wasn't really helping things. Especially the rapping.
The aerial bots are taking their shots. Some of both plastic and Predacons.
Fortunately, they would deliver, and air one of the best shows to ever air on YTV. Beast Wars! Hang on a moment, this isn't right! That's better. Seriously, why did YTV change the name to Beasties? Beast Wars was a loose sequel to the original Transformers series from 1984 that focused on a small group of Maximals, led by Optimus Primal, and the renegade Predacons, led by Megatron, as they both crash land on an unknown planet, fighting to survive on a planet filled with Energon, their main energy source, while also uncovering the mystery behind bizarre objects left behind by an unknown alien race. Beast Wars was a great series that added more to the lore of the Transformers. It was the first series to introduce the idea of the spark, or the soul of a Transformer, and having Transformers based on realistic animals. Sure, you had the Dinobots and Soundwave's cassettes, but they looked more mechanical than biological. Also, this series has a small ensemble of characters compared to the large cast from Generation 1, with a lot of those characters being A, one-offs, and B, there to just sell toys. The reasoning for the small cast was the computers at Mainframe can only process up to a few characters at a time. This means that they have more freedom to give the characters more of a personality, and time to develop each one. And boy did they give the personality with the voice actors. On the Maximals side, we had Gary Chalk playing Optimus Primal, Ian James Cortlandt as Cheetor, Richard Newman as Rhinox, and Scott McNeil playing the multi-active Rat Trap, and the Predacon turned Maximal Dinobot. On the Predacon side, we had Scott McNeil playing Rosbanator, Colin Murdoch as Quickstrike, and the great David Kaye as Megatron.
No, not that.
The show first aired in syndication in the US, and was free from things like the BSNP. So we had lots, and lots, of glorious robot violence. Kind of funny that in the same year as Beast Wars, there was another CG series that Teletoon had that focused on talking apes.
I'd shower you with coconut cream pies.
Yeah, it aired the same year as the Donkey Kong Country cartoon. That show was definitely weird. While it was getting success from a younger audience, it was sort of panned by the G1 community for the animal aspects. Hence the fan terms truck not monkey or monkey not truck. Mainframe noticed this, and in the second season got input from the community and wrote it to connect the two series together. In the second season, on top of adding new characters like Quickstrike and Silverbolt, played by some guy named Scott McNeil, a romance, and killing a few to clean up space. Aw, Scorponok, no! We learned that our two warring factions landed on prehistoric Earth with the Ark, the spaceship that housed the Autobots and Decepticons that would be awakened in the year 1984. The third season would focus on protecting the Ark and the prehistoric humans so that history isn't rewritten. Beast Wars aired from 1996 to 1999, lasting 3 seasons with 50 episodes. And, as a Transformers series, it still holds up despite the early animation. It brought the franchise back on its knees, and would help it soar to new heights.
In a word, pride.
In 1999, a sequel was created to Beast Wars called Beast Machines. The Maximals finally made it home to Cybertron. One notices that it is now being ruled by Megatron and his army of Viacons. In order to stop Megatron, Optimus Primal works with the central soul of Cybertron, the Oracle, to attempt to create a Cybertron that is organic in a battle of ideologies. The series first aired on Fox Kids, and unfortunately, like Reboot, had to tone down the violence. Fortunately, not to the crazy extent of Reboots. However, it was controversial with how the series changed many of its previous characters when it came to their development. The series lasted 2 seasons with 26 episodes. It was not only the final series in Beast Wars continuity, but also in G1 Transformers continuity as well. In 1998, a toy company called Trendmasters had a toy brand and called Mainframe to say, "Hey, you know that Beast Wars series you did for Hasbro? We want one too for our toy line." And thus, War Planet's Shadow Raiders was born. Shadow Raiders is about a group of civilizations that each have a specific resource: rock, ice, fire, and bone. All of them fighting in wars over their respective resource. Things went smoothly until a giant planet known as the Beast Planet begins wiping out other planets. So it's up to an alliance of representatives of each planet to stop the giant monstrosity. The first season has our main character Graveheart convincing the leaders of the other planets of the cluster to join forces, while the second season has the planets united to try and take down the Beast Planet with all of their armies, power, and knowledge. The show was an interesting idea, as rather than feuding characters, this one forces the factions to unite despite having objections to it. It also helps that each character has their own motives and personality that can bounce off one another. Though Graveheart will always remind everyone that he is just a miner.
I'm just a miner.
A thief, you mean?
No, a miner.
Shadow Raiders lasted from 1998 to 1999, lasting 2 seasons with 26 episodes. It was planned to have a 3rd season, but the toyline Trendmasters was trying to promote unfortunately did not do as well as they hoped, even when they added characters based off the Shadow Raider characters in Season 2. It didn't help that this series ended on a cliffhanger. It was still a really good series nonetheless. Mainframe was soon called up by Hasbro once again to bring an old franchise back to life. The greatest hero of them all, Action Man! The adventures of Alexman, whose secret identity is the extreme sports athlete, Action Man, who takes on the Master Vision Network's acceleration games. Sounds a lot like the X Games. To better his foes, he can use a mental ability triggered by acceleration and danger called AMP, or Advanced Macro Probability. In other words, knowledge is power. The show was a 3-way collaboration between Hasbro, Mainframe Entertainment, and a company by the name of Saban Entertainment. We'll get to their legacy soon enough. Suffice to say, it helped bring the toy line back to the masses for a short period of time, and he is surprisingly still relevant in recent memory, being a part of the comic series Revolutionaries, with other popular Hasbro brands like Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Mask. Sadly though, much like Shadow Raiders, the show is tough to find as it is currently owned by Disney when Saban was bought out in 2002. Action Man lasted for 1 year from 2000 to 2001, lasting 2 seasons and 26 episodes. I'm starting to see a trend. So now Mainframe is confident with making shows from other properties, and they will continue to do so. With the next company, the Hawk Company, they wanted to make a show based around their polyesterine model kits that have been around since the 1960s, which were a parody of American car culture. The next show basically just said, let's go crazy! And that show was Weirdos. What do you get when you mix the wacky races, remove the race part, and have it as a sort of family sitcom? You get Weirdos. A family of, well, weirdos that cause mayhem and destruction with their souped up cars in the town of Weirdsville. Right out of the gate, the character animation is over the top and seems to be less limited to their source material. And personally, this show is kind of meh. The show's two tones of being over the top, and the sitcom approach, in my opinion, doesn't really seem to mix. While it did have a decent run in syndication from 2000 to 2002 on YTV, it sadly only had 13 episodes in total made, and was short-lived. The interesting thing about this series, though, is that it did have a home video presence. as the complete series was released on DVD in 2005. But sadly, they are extremely hard to find and very rare, as YTV only made a small amount of sets. This series takes a well-known superhero and takes a different approach with it. This is Spider-Man, the animated series. Close, but no. I mean the new animated series. Spider-Man, the new animated series, was a loose sequel to the first Sam Raimi movie, and was co-produced by MTV, the same people who had these guys as mascots. Breaking the law, breaking the law. This series continues the heroic adventures of Spider-Man and his alter ego Peter Parker, who is now voiced by Neil Patrick Harris. It was an interesting series. Instead of using the usual enemies that Spider-Man fights like Venom and the majority of the Sinister Six, many of the villains are usually one-offs played by some really good guest stars, including Rob Zombie as Dr. Kirk Connors, aka the Lizard, and Michael Clark Duncan, reprising his role from 2003's Daredevil as the Kingpin. They even did a better version of Electro, long before Jamie Foxx took the role in Amazing Spider-Man 2. The series does have a few continuity errors from the movie, as Peter and Mary Jane are more in a will they, won't they relationship, whereas in the movie, as Peter mourned the loss of Norman Osborn, he gave the relationship up to keep his identity a secret in order to keep his loved ones out of harm's way. Spider-Man lasted for 1 year in 2003, and ran for 13 episodes, and ended on, wait, don't make me say it!
Goodbye, Spider-Man.
Another cliffhanger? Jeez, Mainframe, quit teasing me with these cliffhangers! Well, at least there's another movie. The final show we'll be talking about today has us returning to the realm of cyberspace. But not as we know it, with Zix. Zix was a live-action CG hybrid that was about a girl named Zix and her lizard partner Flango? Frango? Flambo? Fenzo? Fezzo? And is joined by a couple of kids that change from season to season to stop the evil threats of Onsalon, the leader of the Hargag Empire. When you really look at it, this show is similar to those like Code Lyoko, Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, and to an extent, Tron. It's an interesting idea, though I think the execution was okay. The acting I thought was okay as well, a little wooden, but did get a bit better as the show went on. This show was a collaboration between the Nightingale Company and Mainframe Entertainment, and was the first in Mainframe's library to mix live action with CGI. Zix had its seasons organized as levels, lasting from 2004 to 2009, lasting 3 seasons with 39 episodes. On top of making TV series, Mainframe Entertainment was also known for making TV specials and direct-to-DVD movies, including the Barbie movies, the Hot Wheels movies, Casper's Haunted Christmas, Popeye's Voyage, The Quest for Pappy, The Scary Godmother, Halloween Spooktacular, and its sequel, The Revenge of Jimmy, and the crowning achievement of Tony Hawk's Boom Boom Sabotage. Yeah, that was a thing. And that was Mainframe Entertainment and all of its CGI glory.
You're not quite done just yet.
What do you mean?
To complete this retrospective, you have to go back to square one.
Go back to square one, eh? No. Not that.
Yes. That.
No.
No.
No!